Hey guys, what is going on? What is happening? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a good day today, even though things have been a little bit crazy, obviously, in the marketplace so far. Just making sure that everything is getting set up properly here from a technical standpoint. Hopefully, if you are watching the stream right now, you can actually kind of see everything all good. So giving it a second here. So what is going on? What is going on, everybody? Appreciate the time. Izzy, Bjorn, what is up? What is up? So yeah, just wanted to pop in doing today just a pretty quick YouTube live. Not going to be kind of one of the super long ones today, but just wanted to pop in, say what is up to you guys, and talk a little bit about what has happened within the past couple of days, as well as what is going on, potentially in the near future. And obviously, if you've been, checking things out, if you've been paying attention the past day or so, we fell off a cliff, today at least. I mean, we've been off a cliff since pretty much all month of September. But as far as, things go, Today was an interesting one. Absolutely interesting day in the crypto market. And a lot of it, if you watched my video earlier today, a lot of it is due to this BTC China news in regards to BTC China banning exchange, or not banning exchanges, excuse me, stopping their exchange from trading on September 30th. And outside of that, that dropped the market pretty much from this point right here, that around 3,900 or now, pretty close to 3,900 or so, all the way back down here to 3,200 at a certain point in time. So I'm keeping an eye on things. I think you certainly want to be keeping an eye on things as well, so you can stay as educated as possible in the marketplace right now. But definitely here to answer any questions. That's kind of just wanted to pop in at this point. Not going to be a super long YouTube live, but wanted to answer any questions that you guys might have, get a feel for where your head's at, what are you thinking about doing, what have you done from a strategy perspective today, and just say what is up to you guys. So if you have questions about the marketplace now, or where you think things might be going, or if you want to talk about strategy, happy to talk about strategy a little bit as well. So Tomas mentioned I am holding everything, and I think that is, that's a good strategy. Right now, it's hard to say if we're at the bottom or not, and I think there's probably a decent chance that we still haven't bottomed out, quite frankly. I mean, it would be nice to have that, but I personally think, and this is just my personal opinion, but from my standpoint, I think that there's got to be some reason why BTC China has gone out and why BTC China is stopping their exchange on September 30th. And OKCoin apparently, as well as Huobi, have a meeting tomorrow with Chinese regulators. And I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be tomorrow, but after that meeting, there is going to be news that OKCoin and Huobi are pulling a similar move to what BTC China is doing. And I think when that happens, the market is going to dip much, much lower. So I'm waiting to see when that happens. And that's kind of what I anticipate, the market going a little bit lower here. I think ultimately, we're going to rebound at a certain point once this news gets kind of ironed out. But that's my thought process there, is kind of looking at that. So Ed mentioned, do I think it's going to drop even more, potentially wait till tomorrow? Yeah, I'm waiting right now. I'm sitting back waiting on what I think could potentially happen, and how I think there's still a greater shakeout in the marketplace to happen. I think this is somewhat of a correction back from the the highs of near $5,000, and it's a combination of people taking profits, as well as a lot of this China news. And I think the China news isn't done yet, and I think that is going to be, if you are holding long term, I think that's absolutely completely fine, and that's kind of my outlook, is just long term holding. But outside of that, it's And so Poppy mentioned it's already at 3,400. It's going up. I mean, yeah, you can say it's going up. This also could be a a bull trap in the last 4 hours or so. That's certainly possible as well. We'll have to see how that shakes out. But I mean, this was down 15% and is now down about 12% or so. So yeah, it's going up. But depending upon how things go, we'll see what happens. And the one thing too, so Charlie, I'm assuming somebody just mentioned Charlie said he thinks it's near the low. I've heard some people say I've heard such a variety of things from different crypto personalities, Twitter personalities, whatever you want to call them. I'm interested to see how how kind of things can eventually pan out, and how things can shake out. But for right now, I don't necessarily know if more negative Chinese news comes out regarding, I think specifically OKCoin and Huobi. That's going to be a major driver of the market. And with that being said, they're much bigger exchanges than BTC China is, and this has affected Bitcoin in a pretty negative way. And granted, I'm sure some of that action is priced into the market right now, but I still think it's even pretty news driven as well. So Rob Winfield mentioned, why does the China news affect the market so much? Crypto is the whole world. So I mean, it's a couple different things. So number one, the market itself is decentralized for sure. But if we take a look, we'll look at the trade volume here, and we'll look at it on an exchange basis. And this is something that perhaps you might be familiar with, maybe you're not. But on CoinMarketCap, you have Bitfinex, which I believe is headquartered out of the U.S. Virgin Islands, or the British Virgin Islands, I believe. You got BitHum as well, BitHum. Number 3 in terms of volume is OKCoin, which is OKCoin is a Chinese exchange. You have Bittrex, US, Poloniex, US. Huobi is Chinese as well. So when you're looking at this, the third largest exchange by volume and the 6th largest exchange by volume are both Chinese-based exchanges. So that could certainly have a negative effect on how things, if China has a legit regulatory, if this BTC China thing isn't necessarily, you can see here, BTC China isn't even that big of an exchange from a volume perspective. It's 16 out of all, with $80 million. So it's not that big. But this is also a kind of forced sell-off. I mean, if you are in BTC China right now, if you have your money in BTC China, you have to move that elsewhere. You have to sell it off. So there's a lot of kind of forced liquidity in the marketplace right now. Just taking a look here at some of these questions as well. So somebody mentioned, what if China bans mining next? I don't know. I mean, I've heard kind of all types of conspiracy theories and everything like that. I don't know if China would ban mining. There's a lot of things that I've heard from people trying to say, China's doing this to buy back in lower, and China's trying to kind of knock out some competition, do this and do that. Trying to drive the market down and get some type of competitive advantage. But we'll see what it is. So Chris mentioned, assuming OKCoin and Huobi shut down trading in China in the near term, at what price point would you expect to? So, I'm not massive on the technical analysis. But, for me personally, I think, if OKCoin, Huobi shut down, you're going to be seeing sub $3,000 Bitcoin. It would definitely be a possibility, I think. If that happens, potentially even like sub 29, sub 2,800 is kind of what I'm thinking would happen if OKCoin, if Huobi gets shut down. That's kind of where my head's at as far as that goes. Guys, give me 1 second to grab a drink. I will be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab a bottle of water. And I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Got my water. Throat was killing me, so my bad about that. So checking through some of this stuff, and no, I'm not wearing pants. So checking through on some of these questions here as well. A couple of different people say banks are scared. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, hates Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, I put out a whole video on that and just kind of my thought process on on the thoughts there, and obviously there's the potential for something like Bitcoin to negatively impact big banks from a fees perspective, but we'll see. So somebody mentioned I put all my Bitcoin in BitConnect. LOL. You couldn't pay me to put $1 in BitConnect, but that's just me. Not my cup of tea at all. And one thing too, I mean, that you want to be aware of. So somebody mentioned JP Morgan is in ETH though, with the thinking face. So JP Morgan is in the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, but that doesn't mean JP Morgan owns Ethereum by any stretch. That just means JP Morgan, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, to my understanding, is just a collection of companies that are interested in utilizing the Ethereum technology in a corporate setting. So whether that might be JP Morgan leveraging some type of private blockchain built off of Ethereum to better their banking structure, better their trading, whatever, better their trading, just leveraging that type of technology. So that doesn't necessarily mean by any stretch that they're utilizing, that they're purchasing Ethereum or anything of that nature. I don't think that any of the big banks right now, from a regulatory perspective, are able to buy buy cryptocurrencies at all. So it's vodka. I wish. No beer tonight, unfortunately. I got some work to do in the morning. So that's kind of why I'm just popping in here, talking a little bit, taking some questions, because I know, too, a lot of people, especially newer folks, I can pop this over here, but especially people that are newer to the space that may have gotten in. We can even see some of my buy limits here. So some people that may have gotten into the space up here, that $4,000 plus range, are probably freaking out a little bit. With that being said, if you are, if you have gotten in up here, I think the best strategy is to, not try and time things, because you're gonna get burned probably pretty hard, especially if you're newer to the space. I mean, some people have said some things about, I bought here, I traded here. I mean, a lot of that's just luck, especially if you're brand new. There's not a lot of skill when something goes up a ton or when it goes down a ton, but that's just me. And I don't really think there is a reason to freak out. I mean, I think there's absolutely ways to. Obviously, the cryptocurrency marketplace is extremely volatile. Like you're nuts if you don't think it's extremely volatile. Look at these charts. But outside of that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean, like, just because it's down right now doesn't mean the world's coming to an end. It doesn't mean that it's going to go to zero. There's going to be negative news, and there always has been. If you look at Bitcoin historically, if you look at cryptocurrency historically, there's been these massive movements, and then there's a correction, and then it stabilizes for a little bit, and then there's a massive movement, and then there's a correction. This looks potentially like another one of those corrections where, we had this massive movement, it went up, and you're looking back down at this correction here for who knows how long. But for me personally, I think this is right now we're looking at potentially the start of a kind of decent sized correction. I mean, you can even see here too from the buy limits that are set. That's kind of where where my thought process is. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that moves out. But I mean, overall, if you're looking back June, August, if you're looking back long-term perspective back to May or so, I mean, this market has gone parabolic, and there had to be a specific correction point for sure. So Jeremy mentioned, do I really believe that there's a possibility that Bitcoin could hit 1 million one day? We'll do the math on that. So if there's 21 million Bitcoin in existence, too lazy with the numbers. that would put the marketplace at, unless I'm nuts, $21 trillion, which I don't think is super, super realistic. I've heard some people put out, I've heard some kind of decent thought processes as far as cryptocurrency goes, or as far as Bitcoin goes, that, within crypto, the best way in a lot of cases to look at something like Bitcoin is as a similar kind of thing to gold, as a similar store value to gold. If Bitcoin ever gets 5% of gold's current market capitalization, that would put one Bitcoin at $25,000 per unit, which would be quite a nice premium over about 8 times of where we're at right now. So an 800% return ROI in however many years. If that's 5 years, if that's 3 years, if that's 5 years, if that's 10 years, But I think that's still something that that eventually a lot of people are looking at is Bitcoin specifically, and some of these other cryptocurrencies as well. But I think Bitcoin specifically as a kind of store value and somewhat of a replacement of gold. And there's a lot of the older generations that look to gold as a store of value, and I think this younger generation, at least me personally, I'm under 30 years old, and I have zero interest in gold as a store of value. It's just not an appealing thing to me. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is an appealing thing to me, and I think there's a lot of people that I speak to, at least, and maybe it's just because I'm in a smaller community of folks, but I think that's still something that is interesting, looking at how this could, I don't want to say the millennial gold, but gold for a younger generation, this kind of digital gold for sure. And so stacking 9mm mentioned he had a buddy who waited to buy LTC for months. Chances at the $30 level, $40 level, chose to buy in when I was at $75. And I think that goes to show, quite frankly, if we're looking at that, let's see if we can pull up Litecoin here. If you're looking at that, you're buying, if you bought at $75, you bought basically on the hype train. You bought on this massive green candle here. You bought when there was total euphoria, and that's exactly what you tell people not to do in an investment environment, in a crypto environment. And that's so hard to do. It's so difficult, but it goes to speak to every pretty much investing thesis and everything like that, is you don't want to buy on this massive green candle. When everybody is freaking out, when everybody's super excited, oh my God, Litecoin's going to $100, going to $200, going to $300. I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. You buy then, and then you end up getting screwed because you basically bought the top. You want to buy on, quite frankly, you want to buy on today's like today, when everybody else is freaking out, saying they're going to lose their shirt. They're crying. They're saying hug me. They're saying hold me. That's the opposite of. It makes total sense when you talk to people about it. Is buy low, sell high, but so many people do the exact opposite because human nature gets in the way. You want to buy when everybody else is happy and excited and happy, and you don't want to buy when everybody's freaking out and running to the hills. And you just have to kind of learn. You have to train your head. You have to train your just like your mentality differently, because otherwise you're gonna kind of hurt yourself in the long run. So Josh mentioned, what are my thoughts on Bitcoin Cash? And for me personally, it's hard to. I've struggled to really understand a lot of kind of the. I get the thought process behind Bitcoin Cash, but I don't really get the value proposition for it, other than the fact that it has a much larger block size, and that obviously helps from a transaction perspective, but there's some pretty powerful people. It seems like you have Roger Ver, who is one of like the original Bitcoin guys, one of the original proponents of Bitcoin. There's a lot of people out there that are pro Bitcoin Cash, and there's a lot of people that absolutely hate it. So it's an interesting situation for me personally. I think it seems like the strong developers and a lot of the kind of money is still going behind Bitcoin and not Bitcoin Cash. If Bitcoin needs to figure out some scaling issues, because there definitely are scaling issues there now, even just from a transaction perspective, taking 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to put a transaction through is like the total opposite of what Bitcoin is supposed to do. It's supposed to be fast transactions, cheap transactions, and to be faster and cheaper than a credit card or PayPal or whatever. So Bitcoin will hopefully be able to fulfill that vision with some technical advancements. But for right now, Bitcoin Cash is able to kind of brag about some of those maybe cheaper transactions or faster speeds. But I'm still, as of right now, I'm not a super big like Bitcoin Cash proponent by any stretch. Guys, as of that, just taking a look at some of these questions here, and I mean, for my thought process today, and just so you guys know too, I mean, it's something where take everything with a grain of salt, do as much research as you can, try to check the news where you can, how you can. And speaking of Bitcoin Cash, here's Charlie Lee talking about Bitcoin Cash and not following Satoshi's vision. And making fun of Bitcoin Cash. So there's Charlie Lee throwing some FUD over at Bitcoin Cash, which is funny. But outside of that, guys, my thoughts really are short term right now. I think we're still in for potentially more of a correction. Long term, we're going to bounce back. Whether it takes a month, whether it takes 6 months, whether it takes a year, it's going to bounce back. It's going to go higher than it previously did. I think as institutional money flows into the space, I think as more kind of stringent requirements potentially around certain things, regulation, rumors of regulation might be negative, but once that regulation goes into place and there's kind of lawful businesses built around this stuff, it's only going to increase the market cap. It's only going to increase things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, the altcoins, even more. Short term, I'm still a little bit undecided. I think there's still a little bit more room to fall. Long term, I'm still very bullish on how things look. And I think that this just goes to show you dollar cost average, you dollar cost average, you dollar cost average. That is kind of my thought process, and how I view things is that is massively important to do, and kind of my just overall thesis as a whole. And really, I just wanted to, as far as today go, guys, I just wanted to pop in for a short amount of time. Unfortunately, like I said, I got a bunch of stuff to do for work tomorrow, so I can't take too much time here tonight. But I just want to stop in to let you know, even though the sky looks like it's falling, it'll probably work out all right. Long term, just keep your view long term. We just came off some massive movements over the course of multiple months. A correction was inevitable. It might continue for a little bit of time, but eventually, as history has proven, it'll probably bounce back up, and it'll probably bounce back up even higher than it was at that $5,000 mark. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Now, outside of that, guys, I'm going to head out for the evening. But if you are new to the channel, hopefully you found this helpful in any sense. Definitely hit me up with the subscribe. That'd be fantastic, guys. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. If not, feel free to leave me a message, leave me a comment, anything that I can do to be of assistance to you. Hopefully I can help out with. If you need anything, hit me up as well on kind of any of the properties that I have out there. There's a million different ways to reach me, so definitely hit me up. Looking forward to talking with you again. Looking forward to going to sleep tonight and seeing what happens when I wake up in the morning. If it's positive, if it's negative, we'll see. But outside of that, thank you so much for your time tonight, guys. I hope you have a fantastic night. Peace.